Here in virtual, Creative Katie here. Welcome to my channel, Mixed Media Creations. Take time to hit the subscribe button. If you click on the bell, you can choose the option to be notified as soon as I upload new videos. That way you won't miss any. Today we have a video in the Build Your Stash series. In this series, I show you inexpensive and quick ways that you can take a little time and build your art journaling and mixed media stash. And then you have the supplies and materials at the ready when you want to create. If you wish to support my channel, you can shop through my Amazon influencer links or make a donation through my PayPal link. Both of these links can be found in the description box below. Thank you so much for supporting my channel.
Okay, so what you're looking at here is some magazines, and we can use magazines in multiple ways to build your stash. Now, the number one thing, you can go through magazines and you can pick out images, and pretty much any magazine goes, and you can just flip through them and see what images you like. So it depends what you like. You can have quirky ones like this little Superman kind of guy. Whatever you think that you're going to like looking and using. What I like to use, I find that I use a lot of like faces. You can alter that. You can have flowers in her hair, different things. So I might just take that out. And when I'm going through, pets are a good one. And yes, I went through this a little earlier just to come across some ideas for, so that I wasn't spending a lot of time. Sometimes I like cutting out the eyes and having that to peek out in there. And I don't spend a lot of time. I go through and I, quickly, and if it grabs me, then I might go with it. The castle might be something that I would use in that respect. There's another nice big face for. Put that on an art journal page and then paint around her. So just, very, very quickly going through each one. Now, one of the things that when it comes to people, one of the things that I like to do is cut. When you have a nice silhouette, I might cut that out and turn that into a silhouette, kind of a mask. And I'm really liking this. Now I could just cut this out as is and use her as she is, but what I'm going to try to do here, which is what I might do with her too, I'm going to simply cut this out and see if I can make a bit of a mask with it that I can use on my art journal page. So you don't need to watch me cut this, but I am going to kind of fake how that skirt might come out here since it's not on here. So one of the things you can do, like I said, you can use the images as they are. Here's another one. You can use bits and pieces. You can alter them, right? No matter what you have, this I would, maybe I'd put flowers around her. I'd paint out her dress a little bit, different kind of things. Now, when you can't draw, and I'm definitely one of those in that category. I can do it. It's just not my happy place. It's not what I like to be doing. So that's not how I'm going to express myself in art. And I know there was a recent conversation on the art journal page. I'm going to cut that flower off. I don't really want it in her hair. About, you know, are you an artist if you can't draw? Well, absolutely you are, because an artist is defined as way more than the ability to draw. You know, using colors and textures and different things. And when you're art journaling, when I started and I did art journaling by fives, I needed a lot of magazine pictures and things from magazines for collage elements. So I went and I just pulled a lot. And when I started, of course, I didn't have anything. So I'm going to finish this and we're going to come back and use that, but I just wanted to show you what I did with all the pictures that I have. I have them in these hanging folders, and this is in my big blue box. It can go in a filing cabinet. So I'm just going to read, I have Retire Ocean as a theme. So any pictures that were going in that. People, babies, body parts, and then I have love in there. Bugs and birds. I seem to have a lot of those kind of things. This one is actually, these are clip arts. That's not that. Flowers is another one that I have. Gardens and flowers. Travel, explore, moving. And then I have a whole set here, kind of quirky collections and things. And we're going to talk more about those. But in this file folder, got some sand dollars. I would have, you know, just a collection of things that were theme related. And over time, of course, we get things that end up in the wrong space. So these are all theme related. What I also do is, as I'm going through the magazines, if I come up with any phrases that fit that theme. So, and then I put those in these page protectors. They kind of have static cling, and so you can quickly see what you have. I can flip through there and use them. Now you can use them as they are. You can color these. When you're using them on the page, put a coat of white clear gesso on there. Or cover it with matte medium, and then you can colorize it. Or you might just like the phrase and then use it and type it up on the computer. It might just spurn an idea in there. So there's, you know, I've got lighthouse, ships, just different kind of pictures. Now, I'm going to be honest, I don't often use this. When I did the revisiting and revamping of Journaling by Fives, I went back in here and used pictures and collage sheets from here, but I don't often use this. This isn't how I do art right now. But when you're starting out or when you're stuck, this is a good starting point. So when you're going through, like I said, we have the pictures, we can use silhouettes. I file them, you know, kind of organize them loosely by theme. You have, you know, words. Okay, I like the phrase, you know, the word beautiful. That can go on to so many, like if you're doing iCads or ATCs, these are usually quite the perfect size. And what I might do is just very roughly trim them. You know, this I like nice and big. That might be a good for an art journal page. Just watch her. And again, what words I get, I pick a lot of nouns or descriptive words. You know, you have to kind of think, what are you going to create and what might fit into that. Now, another thing that you can use is the color scheme. You can use these sheets in two ways. You can use it as a color scheme and saying, you know, I really like how the yellow, the orange, the green, and what I would do is I might just take a sampling of the color scheme here. Because when they put together these ads and these pages, we've got professionals that are working with color. So let's learn from them. If I like how those colors work, I can do that. So I'm going to cut that out and we're going to make a sheet. The other thing that we can do with colorful backgrounds is you can use that as a complete background in the same way that you would use gel prints, colored papers, whatever. And I've got my templates here. You know, I could put that on the background of an ATC, put a coat of white gesso, kind of back it up, do some stamping on top of that, and it becomes a lovely background. Even something like this. I mean, it's a salad, we know that. But if I take it out of here and put it on the background and add other things, as we mixed media artists tend to do, it makes a perfectly lovely background. So I might rip those out. And, you know, put it in the color scheme or collage. If you're ripping pages and for collage, you can use all sorts of things to get those colors. Even her hair would be a good background if you want it brown, or it could be collaging if you were doing trees or you wanted some of that brown in there. All without paint. And so I go very, very quickly. Again, here we have good browns, and I will just throw this in my colored paper under the brown. Oh, I like how that looks. So I might use that as a background. Vacation books from travel agencies, you know, the blue for collaging. This is a little thicker. And I have some words here. Discover, I like the word discover. I like the idea of this circle, better together. And I might go through this at different times before it gets into the recycling bin. Life lessons. And this actually, I think, would make a nice background. Or it could be an inspiration for how I might do something, right? Because what's in your files could be used directly in your art, could be just a used as inspiration, as a jumping off point. I like memories. So, you know, if I'm sitting in front of the TV watching a movie or something, sometimes I'll be just doing that. Some of the pages are a little shiny, so a coat of gel medium on them tends to matte that out. I like this. The ocean is calling. Maybe cruise. And I might, you know, actually fussy cut that at a later time. It doesn't need to be perfect at this stage of this would be a lovely color. You see the different colors, the browns. There's a nice large face. Again, I might like to, you know, have flowers and do something around that and change that up. Like, don't overthink it. Color scheme, the orange and the teal. I'm liking how that's popping. Like that for a color scheme. Okay, so in, you know, roughly a half hour after I turned off the camera, I just went and I cut out. So yeah, I just kind of roughly cut out. This one I actually just ripped. You know, some of the words that I might use on an iCAD or ATC or an art journal page if they're bigger. So we have, you know, single words like that are going to be perfect on an ATC or an iCAD. And I love this idea of having it on a half circle. I think that's something I could actually stamp words on, and that could be, you know, put on. So these are going to go into my filing system, into those page protectors, like I briefly showed you earlier. Let me just grab one. So, you know, and every once in a while I go through these, I flip and I look for inspiration. Sometimes the quote or the saying is something that I jump off of and I go create something and I use it, and sometimes I just use it as a jumping off point. It might give me an idea for an art journal page. So we have words, various sizes that could be used on various things, but they're really great. You know, why buy those prefabbed sticky ones when you can cut out? You can also cut out letters, different size letters, and do kind of like the ransom note thing. I attempted that. It just wasn't my cup of tea. So I'm going to set that aside. So then I have a few pictures. I don't do a lot. One thing that I would like to kind of do more of is do kind of alter, you know, a picture of a person, of either just the head, you know, adding flowers. Now, just because, you know, there are the colors that this is, you can alter that. A coat of gesso on top of this, and then you can paint it whatever color you want, and you can embellish, put the hair in there, have that peeking out. So I got several nice face ones in there, as well as some animal ones and some castles that go with my travel theme. Not exactly what I'm doing right now, but when you're starting out, use that as a jump off point. Use all of these are, these were the pages that I did in when I did the revamping and revisiting art journaling by fives. And I'll put a link to the playlist, and there's a whole series going through the steps, which is great for beginners again. But all of these used magazine pages, and I altered them to some point. So here, like the hands were used from a picture. Butterflies, this came from calendars, but easily could come from there. A dancing couple, and then I made the art, that became the focal point. So you can do the background and then use the magazine picture as a focal point. And if you want ideas of how to meld the focal point into the background, watch these videos, especially the free play one where I make it all work together. I think that's something that a lot of people are asking for. So, and I do a lot of that on this. And all of these ones use, you know, kind of a quirky picture, the magician. I altered it, I shaded it, I did added different things to it. Another butterfly, birds, magazines, Birds in Bloom, wildlife, have lots of very cute, and I kind of matched them up and stuff. Tulips, again, you know, and how I melded it into the page. But you need to have them there. So these were all using things that I had in my stash. I love, love, love this one. And I've altered the bottle somewhat. You know, a couple combinations of, you know, the faces. You know, babies. Watches, time, clocks are a good one. So hopefully that gives you an idea. Go and check the videos out here. So what I haven't done a lot of is using the silhouettes. I've always wanted to take that idea. So I just, you know, I've cut around it, and now I'm going to cut these. And I'm actually going to use this. I'm going to do some, use this as a mask with you so we can see what it looks like. So you guys can have an idea if it's something you would like to do. I am not a fussy cutter, so this, using the X-Acto knife on, you know, my cutting board is my chosen way of doing this. If I was using this as a person, I could, you know, a thin coat of gesso, clear gesso works really well, or other regular gesso, white gesso. Then you can colorize it however you see fit. Now this, we have some very finicky cutting here. Now, I apologize if this video is if you're thinking it's getting a little too disorganized. There's just lots of information here. I will put a summary to how the different things you can use out of a magazine at the end that you can, you know, take. But until you build your stash, until you buy, you know, stencils or other things, or even if you don't, I have some friends that do their pages, their art pages, their art journal pages, and they are constantly collaging and using multiple images from magazines and various sources to create with, and they just, some beautiful, beautiful designs. So I just have a colored sheet, but you know, imagine that you actually have a background that you've created for this, and then you want kind of a silhouette picture on there. So this is just black acrylic paint, and you can I'm just putting around it. Now, if you're afraid it's going to move, if you use, you know, repositionable glue, that will, you know, you can spray it, put it on, and then you can move it back and it'll just keep it. And then if I want, now you might want to paint this all out, or you might have this fade into the background. Or alternatively, you could trace around this and then paint her all black. Okay, so I have the pile of ones where I'm kind of have like color schemes that I like the color scheme, so I might use that as inspiration. So I'm just going to cut these, you know, into swatches. Love the burgundy with the yellow here. That there, you know, even the dress, you know, with that pop of color. So we had this one from before, and it doesn't, you know, they can be arranged. You can do them according to color scheme or whatever. I love, 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 love this. In fact, that could be kind of an instant background. So you can decide if you're going to do it as a background or as that. This, I like that, and actually I use this as inspiration to do a page. The purple with the green, it just pops those colors, you know. So go through the ads and then, you know, just glue them down with a glue stick, I'm going to say, but I apparently am completely out of glue sticks. So I'm just going to, for the sake of being quick here, and I'm just putting this in a sketchbook, but you know, anything that you have, and you can just go there for your color scheme ideas. If you're not sure what you want to do, you want to try something different. Now again, I would get out your color wheel here because, okay, if we're dealing with reds and greens, red is here, green is over here. If you put those on when it's wet, if it's across from each other on the color wheel, you're going to make mud. You're going to get black, brown, gray, ugh, kind of thing. Same thing, blue and orange, they're across. Green and orange are almost across. So you can see here, just by even looking at this, they are basically working with complementary colors or near complementary colors. We have the teal and the yellow. They're really popping. The orange and the teal here. So just an examination of, you know, what they're using and why they want it to pop, so, and jump off the page. So they are using complementary colors to make that pop. So when you're doing focal points, and that's the safe way. Again, you can put complementary colors next to each other on a page, just not when they're wet. You do not want to mix them. So you're going to have to dry in between, but you can definitely have both of those colors. So you get the idea. You make yourself kind of an inspiration board, and then just even studying it gives you kind of an idea. So, and then this can be filed away or pinned on a wall or just kept in a book, and you can keep adding color schemes to it that you may like. The other thing you can do is use what you have as a complete background, just like I've done with coffee filters or gel prints or, you know, different things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to position this where can't even see the line that I made here. See in the dark. There we go. Went a little bit bigger. You've got your blanks that you made in another ATC or another stash builder video. Position that on there. Yeah. And you have some ready-made backgrounds that you can do whatever on. Can't get a faster, more inexpensive background than that. So these are pictures that I'm thinking would make cool backgrounds on an ATC. So, you know, and these little window templates that I have cut, you know, iCAD size, different sizes. you know, and you can decide what part of this you want to keep. Some of this can be collage papers that you were, like this one I think I would just have as a collage paper. For this, like here, this is just ripped up brown magazines paper. Some of this in here is from collage paper from a magazine. So that would be another thing that you can do with interesting, you know, interesting patterns. You know, I mean, it could be an interesting background, or use your stamps if you've got stars or squares or rectangles, tags. And to get in a little closer here to get this, you can, you know, cut out interesting circles that you can use in your mixed media pages. Makeup is particularly good. You know, you've got lipstick here or rouge. They make particularly interesting, warm, lovely backgrounds. And you got a foot there, so you want to do an eye cat. That would be that color. You know, on here you can do multiples. There's, you get that look. And then you have that look. So you can just kind of go through and find whatever you like. You know? So whether they're collage sheets that you rip up and turn into a butterfly. Another thing that makes, like when they have towels in flyers or catalogs or pants here, this makes, you know, a really interesting rainbow background. Oh man. As is this. So, you know, I think you get the idea. That would make an interesting background. You got some textural images there. And then you just add to it. So that your first layer is done. So different designs. This is just kind of a sparkly dress, but once it's cut out, you know, and you know, let's say we're going to put this on a tag, you know. And you can glue them already on a tag if you wish. Or you can just leave them in a container. That. Can't go there. just layer it up. It's and there you have an interesting beginning background. Add a little paint, texture paste, stenciling, whatever, and away you go. So, you know, hopefully you're getting the idea that magazines are more than just the pictures. You can use the pictures for focal points, and it's a great place to start. Get words. I showed you how I organize them. Look for colors that you like, how they work together. If you're stumped on figuring out what colors to use, go to the experts, use what they know, and use some of the backgrounds as either solid pieces, or, you know, you could rip yellows and reds and make a flower with it collaged. Now, while I've done this video, I've actually taken some of those magazines and put them in the recycling bin. And those are the ones that have thicker pages, but they still have a purpose once you've taken all the good stuff out of there that you're going to use. What you can use is if you do gel printing, or you want to have a place to put leftover paint. So these are brayered off sheets when I've done my gel printing sessions, and look at this loveliness. Now, once this is dry, you know, I just brayer off, I open the sheets, I have several books, and I just add layers, and I end up with some lovely unplanned color combinations that would make beautiful backgrounds. So then what I would do is, once that's done, I take this out, and if I've got it on both sides, I have to make a decision about which one, or I can split the difference. And then I just file it in with my gel prints, and then it will find and have another life. I may put some stenciling on here at a later date. But I like the ones with the thinner paper. They collage really well. So these will be good. And you really, as you can see, you don't end up seeing all the print because you're just brayering that. Another magazine that is really good for brayering, because I love the way it collages, is Reader's Digest. It's kind of a newsprinty kind of paper, but it's so wonderful to collage with that. So often I'll brayer off onto those sheets. So as I was saying, hopefully you have some ideas of how you can use magazines to build multiple things in your stash. You have the pictures that you can use as focal points, and I gave you the categories, and I showed you briefly how I sort and organize them. You have words and sentiments that you can put onto an ATC or iCAD or art journal page. You can basically pick the brain of the artists and the design team for what colors work really well together, and then you can use that knowledge on your art journal page in selecting focal points for a background, and vice versa. What goes well, you can try to, create the colors, the different tones of purple or the different tones of green. That can be an inspiration sheet. You can use parts of the pages, as you see here, for colored backgrounds. Instead of scrapbook paper, instead of gel prints, 100% free. You can punch them with your punches and put that on the background, and that's the beginning of an interesting iCat. I really like this one. This one looks like a flower to me, so you know. So these are going into my stash, and you know, they may appear on an upcoming video. As I said, there will be, at the end, I'm going to attach just kind of a summary of the whole video. I apologize if it was kind of a little scattered. Hopefully it's not too bad. I wanted lots of ideas, and I kept putting off this video because I didn't know how to organize it so completely, but I decided that, you know what, I'm just going to go for it and give you the information, and you know, go and build your stash. Get the magazines you have in and around, get some travel brochures, go to the recycling places. Sometimes you can get magazines there. Ask your neighbors when they're done with their magazines to get them. Yard sales often sell them, all sorts of things. So a little bit beyond pictures. See you.